We often think about what makes a person truly great. Is it their family, their wealth, their power? Well, today we're diving into a story that turns all of that on its head. It's about a man who proved that true nobility, well, it isn't something you're born with, it's something you earn. All right, picture this. The scene is Makkah. The year is 97 after the Hijrah. The city is absolutely packed to the brim, with people from every corner of the known world, and they're all there for one reason: the Hajj pilgrimage. And right in the middle of all these crowds, a powerful voice rings out. And that voice? It belongs to none other than the Caliph Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik, the ruler of the massive Umayyad Empire. He's dressed just like everyone else in simple pilgrim's cloth, but he is looking for one specific person. So they lead the caliph over to this man who's deep in prayer. And here's the crazy part. Instead of just interrupting him, the ruler of an entire empire sits down on the ground with his sons, and he just waits. I mean, think about that. It's a total reversal of how things are supposed to work. When the man finally finishes his prayer and turns around, the contrast is just staggering. He's not a prince, not a governor. He's elderly, he's Abyssinian, he's lame, blind in one eye, and so dark-skinned that someone who saw him actually described him as looking like a black crow. So the million-dollar question is, who is this man that makes a caliph wait? Yeah, exactly. That's the big question here, right? How on earth did this man, who seems to be from the absolute lowest rungs of society, earn the kind of respect that has the highest authority on earth waiting for him? And then, as if to answer the question, an announcement echoes through the entire Grand Mosque. It's a public crier, and get this, it's an order from the caliph himself. The order? During the Hajj, no one, absolutely no one, is allowed to give religious rulings except for one person, Ata ibn Abi Rabah. So now we have his name. But that just makes the mystery even deeper. How did he get here?
To figure that out, we've got to rewind. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, to his early years.
So Ata ibn Abi Rabah was born way back in the year 27 after Hijrah. And here's the thing. He wasn't just from a humble background. He was born a slave, an Abyssinian slave owned by a woman right there in Makkah. I mean, his starting point in life, it really could not have been any lower.
What's incredible is that even in that situation, Ata completely owned his time. He basically split his day into 3 parts. First, he was meticulous about his duties to his owner. Second, he dedicated a huge chunk of time to worship. And third, every single spare moment he had was poured into one thing: relentlessly studying and seeking sacred knowledge.
And this wasn't just some casual hobby. His own mistress saw this fire in him. She recognized that this man was destined for something way bigger than serving her. And so she willingly set him free, believing he would be a gift to the whole community. Think about that. His knowledge was literally the key that unlocked his chains. And with that freedom, Ata didn't just dabble in it. He dedicated his entire life to scholarship and eventually became the undisputed mufti, basically the chief religious authority of Makkah itself. So, just how good of a scholar was he? Well, he had the incredible fortune to live at a time where he got to learn directly, face to face, from over 200 of the Prophet Muhammad's own companions. He wasn't getting it second or third hand, he was drinking straight from the source. I mean, listen to this. You had Abdullah ibn Abbas, one of the absolute greatest scholars of the Quran, the Prophet's own cousin. When people would crowd around him for knowledge in Makkah, you know what he'd say? He'd tell them, "Why are you guys gathering around me when you have Ata right here?" I mean, coming from him, that's about the biggest endorsement you could ever get. And the praise did not stop there. Then you have Imam Abu Hanifa, a giant, the founder of a whole school of Islamic law. He looked at Ata and said, flat out, "I never saw anyone I met more superior to Ata." Wow. When the other giants in your field are saying you're the best, you are on a whole other level. But while he knew a lot about everything, there was one area where he was just legendary, and that was the rites of the Hajj pilgrimage. So why was he the master? It boils down to one thing: reps, practice. He performed the Hajj 70 times. Let that sink in for a second. 70. He didn't just read about it in a book, he lived it. He breathed it for decades. And this knowledge wasn't locked away. It seeped into the very fabric of the city. There's this incredible story about Imam Abu Hanifa, a genius in his own right, going to a barber during Hajj. As he's going through the rituals, the barber keeps correcting him on these little, subtle details. The imam's about to make a small mistake, and the barber's like, nope, not like that, like this. So Abu Hanifa is just floored. He asks the barber, how do you know all of this? And the barber's answer tells you everything you need to know. He just says, I saw Ata ibn Abi Rabah doing this. That's it. Ata wasn't just a teacher, he was the living standard. His actions were the textbook for the entire city. But, knowledge without integrity doesn't mean much. And this is where the story really hits its peak, because Adata's courage was every bit as big as his brain. So let's jump to another scene, a different caliph this time, Hisham ibn Abdul Malik. And just picture the contrast. On one side, you have the ruler of the empire, decked out in all his finery, the absolute symbol of worldly power. And on the other side, Ata, a former slave wearing clothes that were worth less than 5 dirhams, the symbol of knowledge that isn't of this world. So the caliph brings Ata into his court and asks him, what can I do for you? What do you need? But Ata doesn't ask for a single thing for himself, not one. Instead, he starts advocating for the people of Mecca and Medina. He demands fair treatment for folks living on the frontiers of the empire. He gives the caliph some seriously blunt religious advice about his duties to God. And then, when the caliph offers him a bag of money, he just turns it down flat. Ata leaves the palace without so much as a sip of water. And the caliph, Hisham, is just stunned. He turns to everyone in his court and says, this is true honor. In that moment, the most powerful man in the world realized that Ata's integrity gave him a kind of nobility that no amount of gold or power could ever buy.
And that brings us right back to where we started, back to that first scene in Mecca with Caliph Suleiman. After he finally finishes asking Ata all his questions, he turns to his sons, who are just watching this whole thing in awe, and he gives them the lesson of a lifetime. He says, seek knowledge, because it's through knowledge that the lowly become noble, and a nobody becomes more famous and respected than a king.
So the story of Ata ibn Abi Rabah, the slave who taught kings, it really boils everything down to one simple question for all of us.